Hey guys, Mickey Masco, Get Out There Outdoors. We're going to, I got some clips here I got put together, going to show how to preserve your tail feathers and beard for, a little fan mount. First thing I want to do is, I want to look down here and find the vent. I'm going to come right above the vent here, and I'm going to start slicing in. Okay, take your tail feathers all together.
Is that his butt?
Put them forward, yes, Parker, right above his vent. Okay. I'm going to start slicing in.
I'm not looking at the butt.
Okay. You'll see that you cut right across the top of his back. Okay. Alright, you want to take that in so far? Figure out about how many tail feathers far in you want to go. I like to go pretty far, and then I can trim off what I don't want afterwards. Just keep folding that forward. Then come up with that, cut that off. Right there. Okay. Then your nice little plumage that's left there. See? This beard. There's multiple ways you can do this. One way is to grab this thing real close and give it a hard yank. Okay? And it'll almost just about pluck out. But I kind of prefer coming down into the skin here and cutting that off. It leaves a little bit of flesh behind for you to deal with, but it's a lot less likely to fall apart on you. That's a pretty good beard. Set that aside. We'll treat those out later. All right, I'm going to start on the preserving of the tail of that feather, the tail feathers there. Basically, what I've got to do is I get all the flesh off, and to do that, I'm going to use a 4-inch fillet knife, fish fillet knife. After I get the flesh off there as much as possible, I'm going to take a brush and try to brush all the fat that I can off. After I do that, I want to open it up. I'm going to use an epoxy to open up the fan, glue it down open. I use some little pins to kind of hold it all open, so whenever the epoxy dries, it holds it that shape. But before I do the epoxying, after I get all the flesh off that I can, take some borax, and I'm going to shove it all up in there. So kind of give you a rundown of what's going on. Kind of a weird camera angle here, but I'm going to go ahead and get this done, do a time lapse of me cleaning off all the flesh that I can. Basically, behind the tail feathers here, on the back side of the tail feathers, everything from here, all of this from here back has got to go. The front side, I'm going to try to leave a few rows of these feathers in here. Try to mingle that down to where that's at least as possible. I like to have the extra layers of feathers in there, just makes it for a nice clean look. But anyway, that's the biggest part of the process, is getting all that flesh off there as much as you can. All right, here we go. All right, once we get her down to about right here, so we're trying to get all the meat off of it. Okay, here's the back side. See where I got it down to. Just kind of lay it down flat. Take that fillet knife and lay it here and just kind of go straight across. Get down to that fat, get all that meat. So you can still see a little bit of the meat left. I will play with that just a little bit yet. But all that yellow you see there, that's all fat. Okay, you want to take this side here, and you'll kind of have to roll that up a little bit to get all the meat out of there. Okay, you want to be careful not to pull those feathers out, but you can kind of roll that up, slice all that meat out of there. There's a little bit left there for me to get. I just want to show you that yellow there is the fats that you want to try to take a wire brush and brush those out. All right. As you see, you really want to pack it in there. Jam your fingers in there nice and tight. Get it in there all as much in there as you possibly can. This part right here, and it's not going to hurt anything. If you have any kind of a plaque or anything, it's pretty much want to cover this over anyway. But you want to get it in there as much as you can. Get all of that soaked up as possible. All right, I'm going to now go ahead and mount my, or I'll go ahead and epoxy my fan feathers into position so that they dry in the form that I want them. I've done this method a few times. I've not had any issues. Some recommend that you leave it on the borax there and open it up and let it sit for a while. That way you can kind of turn them over and make sure they're dried good. But I find if you do a good job of getting all of that fat out of them and jamming as much borax in there as it could possibly hold, this seems to work pretty. I haven't had any problems with any rot or any bugs or anything. So I'm gonna pan you down here to where you can get a little bit better view as to what's going on and walk you through the process. What I've got here, I've got a sheet of paper, a box from my wife's Arbonne collection here. The sheet of paper, this is what I'm going to put the epoxy on in order to put my tail feather fan on here. That is going to give me a little bit of a barrier between this and the cardboard. If you do it directly on a cardboard, it's kind of harder to cut the cardboard out at the end of the process. With a piece of paper on there, it kind of gives you a little bit of a barrier, a little bit less likely to, you know, bend a feather or break a feather otherwise. I got some 1 minute epoxy right here. It's got the little squeeze tube. You just kind of pull it out, squeeze it out there, and it's going to go. I've also got a bunch of paper clips I use with painting my fishing lures. Right here, I'm going to use those as pins to open up the fan and keep it wide open. All right, here we go. Kind of get them situated where you think you want them. This bird here has some nice collar and them back feathers there. I don't know. I'm trying not to hide too much of that. See what I mean? But I want that all the way down here. That's where I want that to dry. Okay. Okay. Let's give myself an idea as to where I want that. Turn this over and we'll pour it to it. There you go. There's a whole tube. All right, now time begins. Gotta open this thing up where I want it. With this faster epoxy, I don't even think I'm gonna have to pin it. Normally I use a 5 minute. Okay, got this laid out here pretty much about like I'm going to get it. I'm going to put something heavy right here and just press that down. Preserving a beard, we are pretty much going to follow the same process. I cut it off. I leave a little bit of flesh on there. It just holds it together a little bit more. Once you can work this and dehydrate this, it just holds it together better. It won't really strand out on you as much. You can grab the bird and just yank it out, but that kind of has a tendency sometimes just to fall apart on you. So that's kind of where I think this method is a little bit better. But with this, you're just gonna take this end here and you're just gonna drown it as much as the borax as it'll possibly take, and some. Okay, and you kind of want to try to store it to where it's not going to, you know, lay flat on any kind of surface or anything, because then you'll have moisture build up in that area. But like that, drowned it, and leave it somewhere to where, you know, you got a couple sticks or something you can let it sit it up on. Let that ride to where that's just going to sit up in the air like that. Is preferred. Well guys, I hope you guys enjoyed those clips and tips on how to preserve those tail feathers and beard. So you guys hit the button down there, subscribe, like, and you'll have fun and get out there.